Mercury is Sagittarius from a medical astrology point of view. So Mercury represents our mind, our way of thinking, communicating, analyzing, understanding patterns, rationality, logic, intellect. It deals with more of the logical aspect of our mind, as opposed to Jupiter, which deal more with the feminine, creative aspect of our mind. Mercury deals with transportation, and that's where it's long distance transportation through the 9th house Sagittarius, or short distance transportation through Gemini, the 3rd house, aka learning how to jump through ideas and vision and travel through them and explaining your travel and things like that. So why Mercury deal with understand the micro things and encapsulating macro things through the words and symbols and things like that. Sagittarius represent being adaptable to yourself and other people way of seeing and feeling about spirituality, God, philosophy, wisdom and knowledge, meaning and reasoning essentially. And having Mercury here, you focus on trying to communicate and analyze and learn how to create words and allegories to encapsulate this broad energy of Sagittarius, of meaning and reasoning, of seeing. But here Mercury is having a hard time to encapsulate it, try to understand it, because Mercury prefer to deal with, say, Geminis or Virgo. But here in Sagittarius, it has to work really hard to communicate, even over analyze all this broadness, all this spirituality, which is sometimes it's hard to put into words. And this might be the focus of this transit, us learning how to utilize Mercury to communicate and analyze and put words into the macro things, the broader things that we see, but we're having a harder time to do it. This creates the allegory of almost like the first Bible writer attempts to encapsulate reality, nature in their books, their words, them using the micro things, Mercury, the words, the symbols, to represent the macro things, Sagittarius, the broader world, the macro things in existence. Mercury represents our lungs and our bowels. This is why Mercury deals with Gemini, the 3rd house, the respiratory system, but also deals with the 6th house, Virgo, the digestive system. And both these houses, this body system, are needed for the process of cellular respiration, which is about how the body produces energy, ATP, fire within the body. Your body requires Virgo, the digestive system, to break down food and get it to the point where we have glucose and minerals, so our body able to utilize it. But also your body requires Gemini, the 3rd house, the respiratory system, to bring in oxygen, so your body could combine both the oxygen and the glucose to get combustion, ATP, fire, energy within your body. You could even think about how involved the respiratory system and the digestive system is when it comes to transportation within your body. Your lungs has to transport so many different gases, from oxygen, carbon dioxide, throughout your body and get rid of certain things. Your digestive system has to be responsible for transporting minerals, vitamins, protein, getting rid of toxic waste, and so many different transportation and movement that's going on within those two systems. Sagittarius in medical astrology represent our muscular system, but a lot of people like to associate with your hips and legs. That's because your hips, your legs, your glutes, your hamstring, your quadricep, all this create the biggest muscles group within your body. But also, since Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet that deal with expansion, but in biological terms, this is tissue expansion, which could be both positive or negative. Positively speaking, we're speaking about healthy tissue expansion, such as muscle growth and things like that. Negative tissue expansion, places like inflammation, overuse, over damage, and things like that. Also, Sagittarius deal with, since it's opposite to Gemini, the 3rd house, it deals with the respiratory axis, which is something a lot of people may not understand how Sagittarius is involved in the respiratory system. But you have to understand, for your respiratory system, Gemini, the 3rd house, to be able to pull the air in, it requires the muscles from Sagittarius, the 9th house, to contract to help you pull the air in. So without the muscles, Sagittarius, you're not going to be able to pull in the air, the respiratory through the respiratory system in Gemini, to get the oxygen that you need. And this oxygen is needed and necessary to provide the information for the body to stabilize itself throughout space. So you could think about Mercury here, because it's a deal with communication, analyzation, ways of communicating, ways of explaining things, our mind. Here in Sagittarius, our Mercury is helping us to get the necessary thoughts, ideas, ways of communicating, oxygen air to breathe in, as Mercury goes through the Sagittarius, the sign that deal with the muscular system and tissue expansion, so we could get the necessary oxygen, ideas, thoughts, intellect to buffer in and control this expansion, tissue expansion that we're going through with Sagittarius. So it's broadening our spiritual perspective. But the more we broaden ourselves, the more we expand, sometimes that lead to the negative side of expansion, which is overuse, restlessness, and ability to control ourselves and ability to stay still. So Gemini is helping you to gather the words, the information throughout all these experiences to be able to bring the necessary oxygen to buffer in and control all this expansion that's going on with Mercury going through Sagittarius. Exercising itself, when you work out, you go through new experiences with your body. What happens? You get lactic acid, but lactic acid happens when you start moving your body, which build certain acidity within it. But for this acidity to go away, you know what you have to do? You have to breathe oxygen, because the only things that can fight against the acidity, the inflammation, the fire within the body, the air, the oxygen, Mercury will help you to cool it down and bring it into perspective and make sense out of your experience.